The C-Class AMG models have played a pivotal role in the Mercedes-Benz and AMG collaboration. The C36 AMG marked the inception of this iconic partnership. The C63 AMG was so wild that it's made its way into the record books for the automotive legend. And then you have the C43, a model that has often lingered in the shadows. It's played the bridge between the standard C-Class and the ferocious C63 AMG. Now, it's yielded a V6 engine in recent times that was tuned by AMG but built by Mercedes-Benz, and that really upset the purists. However, this new C43 AMG could change all of that. It could be the transformational model because it could change the perception that people have had about this badge, about this otherwise really good, potent, in-between model. Let's find out what I mean. The new C43 doesn't scream AMG like some of its siblings, but it does enough to carve a niche for itself and, more importantly, turn heads. It maintains a subtle yet sporty appearance with the vertical slats on the radiator grille. There are sill extensions and a small wing on the boot lid to finish the look. However, what really stands out are those 4 exhaust tailpipes beneath the rear bumper, hinting at its performance potential and highlighting that this is an AMG. On Valentine's Day a few years ago, I had a chance to spend time with another lovely lady like this. She was dressed in a slightly lighter shade of red. She was the gorgeous and curvaceous C43 Coupe. Compared to that, this elegant beauty comes with 4 doors, 4 seats, making her the everyday keeper, the practical everyday car that you can use for office, for the shops, and then even on the racetrack if you so need. Even the 4-door C43 is full of oomph and performance is what makes the C43 AMG tick. Under the hood, this model introduces a significant shift in the AMG philosophy. The previous, more recent iterations of the C43 AMG were powered by a V6 engine. This one, however, is a 2-litre, turbocharged, inline 4. I know, frown, raise eyebrows, but this is not your garden variety 4-cylinder. This one is a powerhouse. It cranks out over 400 horses. That's only about 50 lesser than the first C63 AMG, and that engine had thrice the displacement. This model does the exact 0 to 100 time, 4.6 seconds. How fast is that? Pretty quick, I must say. If you look closely, you also see the personal signature of the engineer on the engine, because this is not an engine built by Mercedes-Benz and tuned by AMG. No. This is an engine that is meticulously put together by hand at Affalterbach. What sets the C43 apart is the innovative 48-volt electronics and an electric turbocharger derived from AMG's Formula 1 learnings. This isn't only about reducing turbo lag, it's also about enhancing performance overall. The compact motor directly acts on the turbocharger shaft. It can even harvest additional energy from the exhaust gases, contributing to the overall efficiency. The result is near linear power delivery throughout the broad rev range, ensuring that there's always plenty of power on tap when you need it. The acceleration is impressive, and sometimes it can be brutal as well, especially when you engage the race start mode. That is the fancier name for the launch control, of course, but it really gives you impressive starts and impressive acceleration. 4.6 seconds, like I said, that is some impressive timing. And then, of course, it doesn't stop there because the top speed is 250 kilometers an hour. And if you were to say please to Mercedes-Benz, you can also increase it to 265 kilometers an hour. I'm not sure if they're going to let you get that performance package in India just yet, but yeah, 250 is not too bad either, unless of course you're going to be taking it to the racetrack very often where you want every inch of that performance. The fly in the ointment though is the sound. Unlike the roaring symphony of its larger engine siblings, the C43's engine produces a more refined note, but it's not lacking in character. That said, even in its quieter modes, it still retains some of that AMG charm. And then of course, when you start cycling through the modes, you have this little switch on the infotainment, which lets you make the exhaust a little louder. Of course, the soundtrack is very different because this is a 4-cylinder. So compared to the V6s or any of the V engines from Mercedes AMG, this one is going to sound quite different. And when you are cruising along on the highway, there is that nice purr, that nice hum that you hear inside the cabin. Of course, depending on the throttle position, depending on the driving mode, depending on how you're driving, it will also amplify a bit of that audio into the cabin, so that is synthesized sound. So even if it's loud on the inside, it may not really be loud on the outside. But whatever the onlookers are hearing, whatever you are hearing, though it's different than the typical AMG soundtrack, it's still good music to the ears. But at those cruising speeds, the engine's purr almost fades into silence, making it a comfortable cruiser for daily use. The power from the engine is sent to the wheels via a 9-speed automatic gearbox, which incorporates AMG's wet clutch instead of a traditional torque converter. While it is refined in the standard drive mode, downshifting does take a bit of a pause before it actually happens. To draw a parallel, the C43 competes with the BMW M340i, and that one has the traditional, beautiful, straight 6. So the soundtrack of that car is very different than the 4-cylinder that you get in the C43, but the C43 has Formula One derived technology, which again sets it apart. So your trade-off is essentially going to be between that old school 6-cylinder soundtrack versus new age tech. Now, of course, the BMW is slightly lesser on power, but it still manages to edge ahead on that sprint time, 4.4 second 0 to 100 time. And it does feel a little bit wilder as well. But the AMG, it feels more focused. Both are involving drivers' cars, and you won't go wrong choosing either of them. It will finally boil down to which one excites you more and which one ticks the right boxes in your heart. That said, the C43's focus isn't just straight line speed. It excels in providing a balanced driving experience that combines agility and comfort as well. At lower speeds, you'll notice that the ride feels a bit firm, especially with these 19-inch wheels. However, as you pick the pace, the suspension reveals its suppler side. It manages lumps and bumps with impressive poise even in the sportier Sport Plus mode, which remains compliant for everyday road use. One of the standout features, of course, is the way the steering has been tuned. I mean, AMG has been doing really good work with their steering systems, but this one just feels so good, especially on the kind of roads that we are driving, where you have sudden transitions from tarmac to concrete, or you have these mid-corner bumps or sudden ruts and joints in the roads. You can feel each and every one of that texture change through the steering, and that's really good, precise steering tuning. And it's not just that, it's also the way it handles around the bends. It feels so sure-footed. There's also the trickery of the rear axle steering, which also sort of reduces the wheelbase or enhances it depending on the speeds at which you're driving. So whether you're just looking at maneuvering the car in tight parking spaces or going wild around corners like these, you'll always have the car dance to your tunes. The C43's traction is indeed impressive, and its grip is tenacious. Although it's quite willing to quickly turn in and hold a line, especially thanks to the reduced mass of the new engine, pushing it too hard into the slowest and the tightest of corners that you see here may provoke a hint of understeer. And that is despite the strong 69% rearward power delivery bias. It feels like this 4MATIC system was closely benchmarked against Audi's performance Quattro systems more than BMW's xDrive. But that said, it offers a good balance between comfort and agility and makes it a good everyday driver's car. Even for speed breakers like this, you only need to slow down. You don't really have to go cross or anything. The ground clearance is actually quite good too. So be it commutes, be it enjoyable weekend drives like these, or even drives around the racetrack, it is going to leave you impressed. It is going to put that smile on your face every now and then. Moving inside, the C43's cabin mirrors most of the standard C-Class elements, but with a sporty touch like the optional carbon fiber trim, metal inlays, and a flat-bottom steering wheel with those lovely AMG switches on there. The red color for the stitching and the seat belts add contrast. Those dedicated AMG switches I spoke of simplify the access to the dynamic or the performance functions without having to fiddle with controls on the humongous infotainment screen, which, by the way, is very slick and intuitive. The MBUX software on the screen also has the latest voice activation technology, and there's support for Apple CarPlay and Android Auto in a wireless format. The high-end Burmester stereo further add to the luxurious experience. In terms of the safety, the C43 comes with a range of standard driver assistance features. With this downsized engine, the C43 AMG manages to ease off some of that guilt that comes with sports cars in today's day and age of going green and being environmentally friendly, right? But at the same time, it doesn't really compromise on the performance. The numbers, the actual on-road performance, everything just speaks volumes about the kind of car that this is. Of course, the four-cylinder engine lacks the oral drama of the V engines from AMG. But then the trade-off is that this is a new age take on the classic AMG formula in terms of the handling, the driving, etc. But then there is the twist of the Formula One technology as well, which again pushes that performance envelope further. And with a price tag that's just shy of ₹1 crore ex-showroom, I think it's priced rather competitively as well. What more could you ask for from a performance Mercedes-Benz saloon?